Good morning, everyone. This is John with Wiki Arms, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Expo Arms 13.9. But before we get into the video, if you'd like to help us out personally, you can, of course, like, share, and subscribe, as that is all free and it does help us out quite a bit. On top of that, go ahead and comment your favorite oddball barrel length. Now, full disclosure on the Expo Arms 13.9 is that this was sent out by Primary Arms. They have sent out quite a bit of product for us to review in the past, including optics and gear, as we're looking at right now. On top of that, I am also a dealer for Primary Arms Optics, and so there is that sort of long-term relationship there. So keep that in mind going forward. Now, getting into Expo Arms a little bit, if you're not familiar with that specific brand, or if you haven't heard it before, basically Expo Arms is Primary Arms' in-house brand, if you will. They use a lot of contract manufacturing to get a specific set of parts for their builds, and then it's branded, of course, Expo Arms. Now, Expo Arms, the barrels themselves are theoretically made by Roscoe. That is where most people think the barrels are coming from. I have not specifically confirmed that. However, I can say that the lettering position, the dimpling, and the build quality is identical to the other Roscoe barrels that I've bought and used in my personal builds as well. So it does look like they are basically rebranded Roscoe barrels made to a specific Primary Arms, or Expo Arms in this case, spec. Now, the primary focus of this video is going to be, of course, the 13.9 barrel, material quality, performance, accuracy, reliability, that sort of stuff that we will also cover their hard chrome BCG as well, which they again did send out for us to test. So getting into the specifics of this barrel, this is of course a 13.95 inch barrel. The reason for the 13.95 inch barrel length is mostly to be more compatible with muzzle devices for pin and weld to 16-inch legal rifle length. So for instance, a 13.7 is as short as you can go with a Sons of Liberty Gunworks Nox and a couple other muzzle devices. The 13.95 gives you more compatibility with like Surefire, SOCOM suppressor mounts, and some other muzzle devices as well. So the 13.9 is going to be a lot more forgiving than the 13.7 in terms of compatible muzzle devices for pin and welds. The 13.9 barrel length, just as a barrel length without that context, is still a very good barrel length. You're getting good velocity, not quite as much as you're going to get off of a 14.5 or a 16-inch, but what you're trading off in velocity, you're gaining in a little bit of handiness, maneuverability, balance, so on and so forth. 13.9 is a very good overall mix. Still going to be very capable out to 600 plus yards in the right person's hands with the right loads and barrels. So 13.95 overall is still a very good barrel length that is a little bit more forgiving when in the pin and weld context. So again, it has a lot of utility. Now, this specific barrel is the Nitride barrel, so it has a very nice black finish. Nitride looks very good. The machining quality is very good. Material is 4150, which is the Mil-Spec material. All good there once again. On top of that, this is the 13.95 mid-length. Now, on the website, they list the gas port size as two different gas port sizes. One says it's a .0785, and the other one says it's a .077. The gas port size on this barrel, as checked with a pin gauge, is .078, maybe .075, .0785. I can't get quite that specific with the set of pin gauges that I have, but again, .078. If you know what that means with a 13.9 mid, you know that this is going to be a very, very soft shooting upper receiver. Now, the profile is quote-unquote a government profile, so it is going to be a little bit thicker towards the end, just this little 2.5-inch section at the end versus the middle section before the gas block, journal, and shoulder. So the balance is like 1 or 2 ounces heavier out front than it could be otherwise with like a Hansen profile barrel or a middleweight profile barrel. Overall, not really that big of a deal. I know some people really don't like government profile barrels because, oh, they're so heavy out front. Really, it's only a difference of maybe 1 or 2 ounces in most contexts. So again, not really a big deal whatsoever, but it is something worth noting. Now, this is a 5.56 chambering, 1 in 7 twist. Very good, going to stabilize basically anything you can fit into a AR-15 magazine. All good there, no complaints from me whatsoever. Now, getting into the shootability, again with that .0785 gas port size, this is a very, very soft shooting upper receiver. With full power M193 ammunition, you're getting ejection about 330. And again, that's with a carbine buffer, carbine spring with full power ammo. that is getting close to the point where I would say that it is undergassed. In fact, if you slapped this upper receiver onto a gun with like an H or a lower with an H3 or an H2 buffer, it may not even cycle because, again, it is pretty close to the bleeding edge of reliability. What that means is if you take this barrel, put it into an upper, and then you're running, say, weaker ammunition or like a heavier buffer, heavier spring combo, you might run into cycling issues. Now, I'm not really the type of guy that thinks every gun needs to be gamer gas to the point where it is barely running the hottest ammunition. And I also don't think that every gun needs to be violently overgassed to where it will cycle steel-cased ammunition in sub-zero temperatures in the mud, so on and so forth. I think that they do need to be gassed appropriately for their intended use case. And again, you guys just need to be aware that this is a very soft shooting barrel. This would be a very good suppressor host with a suppressor on it, depending on how heavy of a back pressure can it is. Maybe an H1, 2, 3 buffer would be appropriate. But as for an unsuppressed shooting gun, just a as it is basically, I would almost always recommend just a carbine buffer, carbine spring, because you don't want to eat into your very limited reliability headroom. And again, ejecting full power M193 at 330 is you really can't ask for much better than that. And if you slow that action down anymore, you might run into reliability issues if your gun even gets slightly gunked up or starts to slow down at all. So again, for most people, if you're going to be shooting high quality ammo or even just decent quality ammunition through this barrel, I think that you are going to be extremely happy with the way that it is gassed and the way that it performs very, very smooth recoil impulse. The dot, or in this case LPVO, just barely bounces on the target inside of like 15 yards, even if you're pulling the trigger as fast as you can. Very, very soft shooting gun. The only time you're going to have an issue is, again, running really, really crappy ammunition, steel case, remanufactured, something like that, and the gun maybe gets a little bit gunked up. So it is going to not have quite the same reliability headroom that other guns will, but just know that out of the box it is gassed very softly, and I think most people will find that very nice. Now, reliability at this point has been 100%, though keep in mind I've only put about 400 rounds of ZSR M193 through it, and then some HSM 77 grain as well. And again, reliability, even though it is very, very soft, has been 100%. Now, shifting over to the accuracy portion of the video, the barrel does perform at least to the level I would expect it to. So currently these barrels, I believe, are on sale at Primary Arms for like $99, which is a very, very good deal for what you're getting. Now, with just basic ball ammunition, again, I believe that ZSR M193, it was shooting about 2 MOA, maybe 2.5 MOA with just a cheap M193 load, which is not particularly accurate to begin with. And then with a much more expensive HSM 77 grain load, it was shooting much closer to 1 MOA, which is exactly what I like to see with all of my guns. If they can get around that 1 to 1.5 MOA with good ammo and still keep cheap ammunition anywhere from 2 to 3 MOA, or even under 2 MOA in some cases, then I personally am extremely happy. Now, this upper receiver and barrel combination, of course, we were able to take out to 400 yards, no issue whatsoever. 13.9s, again, are extremely capable, and you can stretch them much further than that, especially with the right optic and ammunition combo. So again, as far as shootability goes, very good, very, very good. As far as reliability, so far perfect, though again, keep in mind that I have been using high quality ammunition, and also the accuracy, I would say, is at least acceptable, if not very good. Now, getting into the hard chrome BCG that they sent out as well. The BCG itself is, one, a very high quality base material. So you have an 8620 carrier, a Carpenter 158 bolt, which is Mil-Spec. On top of that, the bolt itself is HBT tested and then magnetically particle inspected. So again, you have all of those sort of quality control processes going into the bolt on top of using the high quality Mil-Spec components, if you will. 4140 gas key, all of the standard stuff listed out. It is a standard M16 cut. Now, as far as the hard chrome coating goes, you might know that it's fairly gross right now. However, it is extremely easy to clean. And in fact, it doesn't really require much of anything to get that gunk off, because hard chrome coating is basically the best coating possible. It is extremely heat resistant, it is extremely lubricious, and it is extremely corrosion resistant as well. And it's very, very durable. It's about twice as hard as at least in terms of RC, as the barrel steel is. I believe most chrome is somewhere between 50 and 55 HRC, and then the barrels are somewhere between 28 and 32 HRC, depending on how they're done, of course. So hard chrome is a basically perfect coating. It is going to last you an extremely long time while maintaining its characteristics overall. On top of the fact, the base material and construction of the carrier, or at least of the BCG in total, is very good. And again, the price on these is pretty darn good. I believe they are also currently on sale at Primary Arms. Now, talking briefly about the value discussion, why wouldn't you just buy a Rosco 13.9 mid? Well, the Rosco 13.9 mids are either on par in terms of price, or in some cases a little bit more expensive. Of course, this is currently on sale, and at least as far as my own personal anecdotal one-piece testing goes, you're getting nearly identical levels of performance. So really, going between the Rosco or the Expo Arms, I would simply buy whichever one is cheaper. So if the Rosco is on sale for like 120 bucks and this is 150 bucks, I would just buy the Rosco. And if this one here is on sale for 100 bucks and the Rosco is 150 bucks, well, then I would buy the Expo. I think that they are, from what I have seen from some of the barrels, I've tested probably, I don't know, 20 to 30 Rosco barrels at this point, and 4 to 5 of the Expo Arm barrels. As far as I'm seeing, the quality is fairly interchangeable. I've been able to get very good reliability and accuracy out of most of the Expo Arm barrels. There has been one problem with one of their barrels that we'll get into at a later point in time. But from what I have currently on their stuff, I would say that they're almost entirely interchangeable. And again, an extremely good value, especially if you pick them up on sale. The 13.9 I would recommend to basically anyone who's looking for that barrel length. Now, if you're looking for a 14.5, 13.7, something else like that, you're not specifically looking at a 13.9. It's not necessarily something that I would switch to just out of the blue. But if you need that 13.9 inch barrel length, one, because you just like the barrel length, or two, because it works with your specific pin and weld muzzle device and suppressor hose, so on and so forth, then that 13.9 can make a lot of sense. And again, the Expo Arms is a very good, very high value option that again is high value, but still has a very good level of performance to back it up. So with all of that out of the way, guys, let me know what you guys think of the Expo Arms 13.95 inch barrel, and if there's any other sort of budget barrels that I should compare it against. But once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. Peace off.
Hit. Burn it. First shot, I was able to spot the miss just off of the right of his shoulder.